it's a touch hot. And there's not really very much we can do about it. So, it is Tuesday, and I'm going to walk down for mail chat. And we all know what happens when we get down to the White House. So I'm going to go down the back driveway. I'm going to have to close my gate. And there we go, back again. Take a once it decides where it's going to connect to. Right, let me turn this round. There we go. Might go very slowly. So, back through our beautiful new gates. It's unbelievable. Last night, if I can point out this tree, this one here that is just, yep, at the bench. Have I got the right one? It's that one. That one there. And the bench is just down here. Last night, Michelle called and she said there's bees swarming at that tree there, and they must be nested up in this sort of area here, and something has disturbed them. And all you could see was bees from up there all the way down there. And oh my golly, they weren't looking very happy at all. So we were all avoiding that area, but they did settle back down. They've obviously gone back into where they've got their area, and we'll just keep an eye on it. So not sure what disturbed them, but they were very unhappy about it. My little chickens are actually doing very well. Hey guys! I love these chickens. Hey guys! What you doing? They'll just come storming over. My little watchers, although I'll tell you they're not very... Right, going down the hill. This is where our deer hang out, down this way. We know why this thing is... Oh dear. So we'll go and see what we can find down this way on our way down to the White House. Carlene's got... Not Carlene, Janine's got a door. Oh! Bee. Oh, good grief. I think I've pissed a bee off. Woo! Go away! Oof, goodness gracious. So down to the arena. And Tanner's barn. And the big chair. Over the grass. Oh! And everybody has been hanging out inside today because it has been about 107, which is a touch hot. Oh, growing some mushrooms, lovely. And there's been a lot of animals congregated in front of the fans. Hey Angus! Hey Miss Delightful! Oh, she's so sweet. Oh! Hey Wilbur, what you doing, darling? Love these guys. Angus, what's up? Hey Wilbur. So I'll go in. Oh my golly gosh. I'll go in around this way. I'm trying to watch where I'm walking because in amongst the grass there's just sudden bits. Right, so this is going in through. Okay, so I'm just going inside, and Carlene is absolutely out for the count, and I don't really blame her. She was out this morning with Janine. After the job this morning, she went to Home Depot, and so she's had quite a lot of activity. So I'll just sit in here, which seems to have a connection at the moment, which is super duper, and tell you what happened today. So Judy was here, and she stayed with She stayed with Carlene, and Janine went to do the job this morning, and she took the dogs with her. So the job went very well. The dogs were delighted to be inside because it was so terribly hot outside, so that was nice. And then she came back and she took Carlene to Home Depot because that's the sort of way that they like to roll. And then they had to go to a second Home Depot because the first one didn't have what they were looking for. But obviously we were very well aware that it was going to be exceptionally hot today, and the animals have been kept for the majority inside. So the two horses are in their stalls at the back. They have fans blowing on them, a fan in the aisle, lots of water, and there's water put down on the floor so that the humidity comes up, and in an attempt to keep everybody as cool as possible. The rabbits and the goats are also inside, and there's fans blowing absolutely everywhere. So it's just an attempt to keep everybody cool and calm. The goats that are outside, they actually have a breeze, believe it or not, which is quite fortunate. And they have got, I don't know why they hang out on the camera, because they have actually got a paddock that is probably about twice the size of that paddock. It goes to the left-hand side of where the camera sits. So they've got lots of shaded area, but they seem quite happy. The donkeys are coming and going, although earlier on they were all congregated around the big fan that's in the arena. So fortunately everybody seems to be doing pretty well at the moment. And Corey sent me a photograph of her thermometer, which is in the shade on Meredith, and it was sitting at between 103 and 104. So that's something to look forward to, doing evening chores this evening. And I'm trying to think what else is happening. Tomorrow isn't going to be quite so hot, which is a relief because there's two jobs tomorrow. And Thursday it looks like it's going to cool back down again. Well, that's what it's saying at the moment. I'm not sure we can 100% trust what the weather forecast says, because it really is pretty erratic. It's just a shame this is June, and this to me feels awfully hot for June. So I am not looking forward to the rest of the summer. Janine is on her way to pick up something for the apartment, and she will be back later. I think she's hit traffic, but at least the car has air conditioning. Well, that's a bit of a relief, because you certainly need it in this weather. So what else have we been thinking about? If you've got any questions that you put on the first video, please feel free to pop them back up again, because I have lost them and I don't have access to go and find them. It's probably quite lucky that Carlene's in there having a sleep, because quite frankly, this is not weather. I would have to have brought her outside, and this is not weather to be sitting outside. Yes, I've been putting up the fly traps. I thought I did a video. Yes, somebody very kindly sent fly traps, and I've been hanging them up, because that's what we need. It is very brutal today, Nancy, you're quite correct. And we are lucky to live amongst so many trees, although sometimes the trees can be slightly problematic, but in weather like this, the animals are so lucky to have the trees. You're quite correct. I'm not sure where the carpenter bee traps were put up. It was the main barn that they were annoying. Now, the funny thing with the carpenter bees is that those are the first bees that sort of arrive, and then they die down quite significantly. And I'm not sure if they don't do, maybe it's a case of they've drilled their holes and they've got a space, but they seem to sort of like back off a bit once the other bees and wasps and lovely stinging insects come out. Says she who's now watching a carpenter bee flying over here. Thank you for that. So yes, I think that there's probably some more that can go up. I always worry about bee traps because we're trying so careful to keep our biodiversity, and if we can live alongside things without too much damage or interference, then that's what we're trying to do. Although all bets are off when it comes to mosquitoes. I am absolutely at the end of my tether with mosquitoes. So outreach was very good today. It went very well, and it was just Penny and Larky. And it looks like Penny's coming into season, which is good because that gets her a season or so under her belt, and then we can get her spayed, because that has always been the plan for Miss Penny, is to have her spayed. It may be an idea if we try and time that alongside a period when she is staying with Randy and Donna, because as I'm sure people know, after they've been spayed, you need to keep them calm and quiet. And she and Larky are not calm and quiet in any way, shape or form. So it would probably be advantageous for us to have her spayed and then go directly to Donna and Randy's. Hello Dee, I hope you're enjoying being at your sister's. You know what? Carlene does not have the AC on. She has the fan on, and that's the temperature she likes it at. It's always roasty toasty in Carlene's. She's like a hot house flower. I am getting a tan, not intentionally. I wear factor 50, and I can't believe that I end up this colour. It's the most bizarre thing. I think I'm going to have to put a hat on, but I always find that hats really make me overheat. But factor 50 all over, and I end up with a tan. Goodness knows how I manage that one. Could be a sweat it off, mind you. Yeah, the flies they're just brutal at the moment, and unfortunately we don't have any, and I know we don't have any fly traps up. I've got a fly trap at the back of the barn where Nick is, but the problem I have is that, as I think you'll see in the first video, when I was walking down the hill, there was something that was determined to bite me, and they live way up in the swamp area, and I don't have a fly trap back there, so I think we might have to extend our range with the fly traps, because they're very efficient. The photos of Noodles are just lovely. He's very photogenic, and as soon as you bring a camera out, he's all over it. It's hysterical. It's like, I'm ready for my close-up, or my other close-up, and Nick just takes pictures of him non-stop. So that's what he thinks is normal life. Pictures of Noodles. There we go. Yeah, Carlene wears those UV shirts. I don't, you might have noticed. I do actually have a couple, but they make me exceptionally hot. So I have actually just hibernated. I had a doctor's appointment, so I have hibernated inside all day, and I'm going to go to Meredith about 7 o'clock this evening when it reaches the balmy temperature of 90. I thought yesterday, when I did evening chores yesterday, it was at 82, and I'm thinking now, well, I suppose at least it's not 107. That's all I can say. Well, the funny thing is the dogs are actually quite comfortable in there with Carlene, and Carlene is actually lying with Wanda on her lap, and she's probably got the electric blanket on as well. Okay, so if you've got any questions, you need to pop them up quickly so I can answer them, because I'm away off to go and top up the horse's water, and and then that will be us. It's I'm hoping that the weather patterns that we have coming in for this summer, that maybe what happens is we have, you know, a period of pretty hot weather, you know, maybe a day or two, and then it cools back down again, because I know there are some people in the country who have had exceptionally high temperatures, and they've got a whole week of it. That to me is just absolutely horrific. And the humidity's not funny either, you're quite right. Ava, I think, is back at the beginning of next month, so she's back quite soon. I don't know if we're getting a new umbrella for the goats. No idea. That's a good question. So, I actually, honestly, what I try and think to myself, Fernanda, is when I'm sitting here roasting hot and it feels like the air is sticking to you, I always think, oh, remember that day when you're out there, you can't feel your fingers or your toes, and you're freezing cold, and the rain is driving, and it's miserable. And then I'm thinking, no, I'd still prefer that, thanks very much, over this. Oh dear. So I think I prefer cold weather. Still prefer cold weather. This is a bit... although I will say, I think my fear of hot weather has probably been born out of the fact that when I was growing up in Scotland, if you had very hot weather, you didn't have air conditioning. And one of the modern advances here is that you do have air conditioning. Air conditioning is not much use to you when you're outside with Anna down, because there's absolutely nothing worse than not being able to escape oppressive heat. So I suppose my fear and dislike of heat should have lessened a bit, because there are actually opportunities to get out of it. Well, you see, I've been away from Scotland, I think, for about 15 years. So I remember when I first came here about 15 years ago, I read a newspaper article and it said, heatwave in Scotland, it's 77. I was like, oh, that's awful. And then I came here and I'm like, oh, this is absolutely horrific. 77, I would be welcoming with open arms. So I think weather across the globe has totally and utterly changed, because they're now having exceptionally hot weather as well. So it's all changing, and weather patterns are shifting, and so I think I would probably get a shock if I went to Scotland during the summer. So yeah, but I don't remember it being really this oppressive. I think probably the problem with hot weather was when you went inside, and there was no air to move the heat away. I think that's probably it. So I'm a bit of a wimp with the heat. As you'll see when I'm out in short sleeves and Janine's got a puffer jacket on. And then we sit in the car, and she very politely and very kindly directs all the air conditioning towards me as I'm sitting melting in the seat, and she's got a fleece on. So I am definitely not of the heat tolerant variety, and Janine is not of the cold tolerant variety, so we meet somewhere in the middle. Late fall's quite nice, I think. Late fall's quite pleasant. Yeah, I would rather have the cold. And you know, the funny thing is, when we first came here, when we first came here, it was the October that the power was out because of snow. The power was out for 5 days, and we were shocked. And because you don't get that in Scotland in October, and we struggled on through. And it was the most bizarre thing. We'd been on the beach on the Friday, and then by the beginning of the following week, they'd cancelled Halloween because it was snowing. So that was a bit of a shock to the system. But I think that I think that it gets much colder here and much snowier here, but it's lovely because you at that point, you know, you used to get up, and when you opened the garage door, the snow was halfway up where you'd lifted the garage door from. But we haven't really had snow like that in the last decade, I don't think, not that I can remember. So, you know, the weather patterns in the winter have changed as well, because I always feel that if we get a really good cold stretch that lasts for a period of time, it helps the ticks to bury deeper in the ground. And I don't think there's a lot killing off the things that used to die off during the winter. So, yeah, need to watch all these weather patterns. Yeah, having spent several summers as an August in Sanibel in Florida, I know exactly what you mean about that it's the humidity you wear as well. It'll just take a little while to come out of her system, I think. So, but at least we know what it is. But there was definitely something off, and you could really see it. So, it's a relief to have that diagnosed, and it's something that we just watch for now.